Welcome back. It's day 2 of Happy Holidays with zero weight gain, 5 days to change our approach to holiday eating. So I'm here to empower you with practical strategies and mindset shifts to support healthy eating throughout these next few months, right? So yesterday I invited you to consider your intention for the holidays this year. Did you do that? Yeah? Yay. Glad to see the nodding. And your why. Did you work on your why? Why does this matter for your life? Cool. Matthew's a teacher, so it's like the teacher said, and so I'm doing it. Yeah.
Correct.
So I also asked you to identify some of the challenges that plague you with the change of seasons and the holidays, and to start asking yourself, okay, if that's hard, how can I make it a little easier? Which I just find is so helpful. Every time I hear myself say, oh, this is so hard, how can I make it a little easier? It helps me. All right. So if my intention is to make healthy eating a happy habit that becomes really effortless, how can I make it easier to sustain that habit even through the holidays? Yeah. So one thing I'm really encouraging is to get out of the approach that fails every year, which could be, well, I'm just going to eat whatever during the holidays and go back to healthy eating in January. Or it could be, I'm just going to say no to the treats this year. I'm just going to really not let myself eat those things. Or it could be the back and forth of, well, I'll indulge during this event, but restrict during those next 2 weeks, and then indulge during this other event, and then restrict. Like, we're just going to change our whole focus from all of those options and instead focus on eating a lot more highly nutritious foods. And in the Slender for Good Foundations program, we take about 7 or 8 hours to get really clear. What are the specifics of what are the highly nutritious foods? So I know when I talk about it this fast in these events, people have a lot of specifics questions. And we can't get into all the details of which are those foods and how much is the right amount and what's the proof that that works and what do we know about why it works. But what we will say is we want to eat abundant, highly nutritious foods. So I am going to describe a little about what I mean by that. So I mean whole fruits and vegetables. I mean whole animal or plant proteins, healthy fats, and whole grains. And the contrast is with what I refer to as chip niffles, cravingful, highly processed, non-nutritious food-like substances. When I talk about those are now 73% of the food in our environment. Whether we're looking at the United States or the UK, we find those are most of our foods now. And so it's not just the packaged processed snack foods. Like, we can also do this processing at home. One example is turning our fruits and vegetables into juices or smoothies. Our body does not do the same thing with those two options. So I'm going to go through this a little bit fast, but the fruits and vegetables that are whole are highly nutritious because they come with the fiber lattice intact. That's how the human body accesses that nutrition. So the human body can't break down that kind of fiber, but the bacteria in our gut can. And it is that process of the bacteria breaking down the fiber that is the way our body accesses the nutrients in those foods. Terry, I see your hand up.
Just a quick question. I have heard that if you use a blender to blend fruit versus a juicer,
Uh-huh.
that you're not stripping away the fiber like you are in a juicer if you use a blender. Do you know if that's true or not?
I've heard that too. I tend to hear those things as excuses for continuing to eat the
Got it.
stuff.
Okay.
I think there's tons and tons of those excuses out there. It may be true that it maintains some of the fiber lattice, but why are we juicing it? It's to break down the fiber lattice, concentrate the sugars, make it more palatable. It is changing how our body is going to be able to make use of the food. So I just, it's going to be a lot more usable nutrition for my body if I have to chew the food. That's just how it works. It means everything takes a little longer to eat. I think that's just part of nutritious takes a bit of time. You can see Matthew needs to use this time between when he's not teaching to be eating, because you can't just chug something. and run back into the classroom because it's not nutritious anymore. So the juices or smoothies are broken down. It's a process that concentrates the sugars, makes it super tasty and palatable, makes it quick and convenient and easy to eat or drink, and sweet. And that's very appealing to our survival brain. Excellent. Quick calories. I want quick calories. This is not serving us anymore in these times. Also, so it's much less nutrition, maybe non-nutritious, more of a food-like substance than a food. For many of us, it's also cravingful. And it's designed to be as cravingful as possible because that serves industry profits. And then the food industry invests billions of dollars every year in promoting those things as healthy. So yeah, when people ask me, but I've heard this is healthier than that, basically I'm hearing this as a healthy alternatives argument, which is almost always an argument. Yes, this is processed, but it's less processed. Yes, this has sugar, but it has less sugar. I think it's a way of keeping us in this deranged food environment, and we have to be smarter than this. So if we find ourselves defending the chip niffles in our life, it's understandable. It's convenient, it's cravingful. Our survival brain thinks that's great, right? So it really is a bit of a, it really does take a bit of a warrior spirit to find, okay, how can I just eat real food? Because that's what my body actually needs, and quit defending or believing the defenses about the chip nipples. We could be a bit in love with them and we could feel like they're necessary. Right now, I'm not suggesting you focus on abstaining from those, especially if that feels wrong, or what the heck am I going to eat, or if it feels scary. Instead, focus on eating a lot more of the real, whole, highly nutritious foods. So I was thinking about Elaine. She's this smart, successful, wise woman. She was 69 when she started working with me, and she always felt like she had a good common sense, healthy eating approach. She never dieted, like she just thought that was stupid. She never focused on her weight. But she did feel she was about 40, 45 pounds overweight, and she wanted to learn more about what's Ginny teaching about healthy eating being very different from what we've learned. And she had this interesting challenge, maybe nobody else has, but her husband does catering. So there's always tasty, readily prepared food available every day, and it always seemed wholesome and healthy. But as she learned about slender weight eating, she realized she wasn't eating nearly enough of the highly nutritious foods. And it was going to really take intention to change that. So as she experimented with it, she found it made a massive difference for her body. Like the first thing was she had this pain in the middle of her back that just went away. The next thing she noticed is she was much less irritable with her family. She was coping with things better. And the excess weight started very naturally going away. So it became worthwhile to her to just keep eating that way. She actually stayed in the Slender for Good program for the coaching and the community support for 2 years, just because she wanted this to get so habitual and so effortless. So you can start that kind of healthy eating journey now by focusing on eating a lot more highly nutritious foods. So let's take a holiday example. Let's say you're going to an office holiday party tomorrow. Let's say tomorrow. So you have a little time to plan from 3 to 5. And it's your intention to sustain truly healthy eating through the holidays. I'm going to recommend you start by focusing on having a lunch that is filled with abundant, real, whole, highly nutritious foods. So center your plate on vegetables. Anywhere you go in the world now, they're going to center your plate on some kind of protein, and then they're going to have vegetables on the side. We're going to flip that. We're going to center on the vegetables, all right? Half the plate or more, and then add a protein, and then add a healthy fat. I'm agnostic as to whether your protein is plant proteins or animal proteins. And then we're going to add a whole fruit. So this should be well over a pound of food. And when you plate it, it should look colorful. It should be real, nutritious, life-giving food. Like you should be able to look at it and go, that is going to be good for my body, right? And then notice how your body feels after that meal. And notice how your mind and spirit feel after that meal. I'd say most of the Slender for Good clients come to me saying, I want to eat healthy and I want to lose weight. They don't realize how much they're mentally going to feel better. It's kind of remarkable. So how will filling up on nutritious foods at that meal support your intentions about healthy eating through the holidays? How will it help you overcome the challenge of, oh, there's all these tempting treats there? Like if you're not hungry and your stomach is still full and you still feel lots of energy from the meal you ate at lunch, it's going to be a lot easier to just walk past those things and focus on the people. So when we commit to truly healthy eating and we do that day in and day out without a ton of exceptions, that issue of craving comfort foods, feeling extra hungry tends to just go away. We're not fighting it because it's not happening anymore. Like as we start to get more away from the chip niffles, the cravings for them go away. They don't tempt us the way they have been. That complaint that people had that social events are just full of tempting less than healthy foods right now and drinks, that doesn't become so tempting anymore because we're craving the good foods. Anybody here notice you start to crave the good foods?
Yes.
Yeah, they start to be really appealing. The craving might not be the same as that anxious kind of craving that we feel with the non-nutritious, the sweet things, etc., the alcohol. But imagine going to this party feeling fully satisfied and looking forward to, especially if you have your nutritious dinner waiting for you after. Like, oh, I know what my dinner's going to be too, and it's ready. It's just so much easier to be successful, right? So the challenges of holiday parties diminish so much. We escape the extra excitement and stress associated with eating and drinking over the holidays and just go into them with so much more calm and tranquility. So my actions and reflections for you today, reconnect with your intentions and your why, and start by identifying some of your favorite whole foods, your fruits and vegetables and proteins and whole grains that you enjoy, and identify at least one meal that you can start changing by eating those foods in abundance. How am I going to do that tomorrow? How am I going to do that Monday? Notice your mind saying, but I need to save room for the treats. Is that really a sensible idea? It's a common idea, but is it really sensible? Notice how your body responds to the nutritious foods. And then when you do have a chip nipple, notice how your body responds to that. Raise awareness of how some things are harmful to your body and some things are helpful to your body. Ultimately, I concluded everything I eat or drink either helps or harms my body. I'm going to quit fooling myself about that. And that understanding was life-changing. All right, so today's all about how can we eat abundant, highly nutritious foods during the holiday season to support our sustained healthy eating efforts. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how do we plan for success when we're going to holiday events.